Vlog FPV, well, it's only been 5 months since I reviewed the Hummingbird RaceSpec, and Newbie Drone has already come out with V2. In this video, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Newbie Drone Hummingbird RaceSpec V2. Specifically, is this worth the upgrade from the V1? And if you don't have the V1, who is this speed demon for?
In the box, you get the quad itself, you get a spare canopy, a programming dongle, a prop removal tool, you get several spare props, you get a quick start guide, and then you get an assortment of screws for the motors and the flight controller, and you get one spare rubber grommet.
I'm going to start out by showing you the differences between the RaceSpec V1 and the RaceSpec V2. This is from the Newbie Drone website. So the ones that are important are the ones that are in red. I'm assuming that maybe one of the reasons why they quickly turned this product with a V2, maybe there was a parts availability issue, don't know for certain, but there are some definite improvements here. So it does have a different MCU. The gyro is different, but the ESCs have really gone up as far as current capability. They were already at 12 amp ESCs, which is phenomenal for a Whoop, and they bumped that up to a dual N channel 18 amp ESC. So this thing has plenty of ESC capability to supply the current that these hungry little motors need. So the thing that I really like, and one of the big reasons why I upgraded, is the VTX. I fly outdoors, I'm not a racer, and I love flying this, the V1, but with only 25 milliwatt VTX on the V1, it did limit you as to what you could do as far as flying a little further out from where you're currently located, and that kind of limits you for Whoop acro. So I do like that they went with the 25 milliwatt, 100 milliwatt, and then the adaptive 400 milliwatt VTX. The receiver is another big improvement. It's a non-SPI version, and why is that important? Well, the good news is if ExpressLRS comes out with a new version, you can easily upgrade the receiver itself without having to change or wait for the companion firmware that has the newer SPI feature set for ExpressLRS. Newbie Drone did improve the camera. The BI, the original one, was 600 lines of resolution, and the BI V2 is 800 lines of resolution, so hopefully there'll be more detail. Another change that was made is to keep the weight down, since they added the external ExpressLRS chip. They removed the USB-C port. You can see the old one had one, came out the bottom. The new one, you have to use a dongle that plugs into these 4 holes here. And so that's a little clunkier, but I understand they wanted to keep the weight, best in class at 16.5 grams. This is what the dongle looks like when it's plugged into the Whoop. I did want to point out one last difference between the V1, which is on the left, and the V2, and that's the canopy design has changed. You can see here that I have this in the least aggressive camera angle. So it's about probably 15 degrees. You can see I have it in the last hole here. But on the V2, this is the least aggressive camera angle in the last hole. And you can see it's significantly steeper camera angle. I'm guessing it's probably at least about 35-degree camera angle. So even the canopy is set up more for racing. So I'll see if I like that. I think I still have the spare canopy for the V1, and it does look like, even though the cameras are different and the board on the back is different between the V1 and the V2, it does look like I can use the older canopy if I don't like the camera angle, but we'll see. I'll see if it's flyable as far as Whoop acro. Just wanted to quickly mention that you don't have to use the USB dongle. You can use the built-in ExpressLRS Wi-Fi to attach to the device remotely, your flight controller. That's one of the advantages of having the ExpressLRS receiver as a separate chip versus the SPI version. You can go ahead and bring up the Betaflight configurator remotely. I'm running a Android version of the Betaflight configurator on a Amazon Fire HD, as you can see here, and you can configure things without even having to plug in a USB cable. I'll go ahead and link 2 videos below on how to do that. Next, I'm going to show you some videos that So here are my thoughts on the Hummingbird RaceSpec V2. Let's start with the pros. The game changer for me is the Smart Max VTX that will adjust automatically up to 400 milliwatts. This quad is very fast and you can get out of VTX range very quickly at 25 milliwatts. When you're flying outdoors, I am not a racer, so having the added range and penetration is important for speeding in larger outdoor areas and for light whoop acro. Obviously, if you are a racer, this is not important since 25 milliwatts is the max that you can use at a race. Also, the external ExpressLRS receiver is, I think, a great change from the V1. You can update your receiver firmware without having to wait for a newbie drone firmware release. Also, you will have the features of ExpressLRS, such as configuring the quad via Wi-Fi, which you won't get with the SPI-based ExpressLRS receiver. So moving on, let's talk about the tune. The factory tune was great even at my altitude of 5,000 feet, unlike the V1. Although there is minor prop wash, it is minimal. If you are a racer, the tune is very tight and precise. On flight characteristics, this quad, like the V1, is insanely fast and is great at whoop acro. This 16.5 gram dry whoop is incredible. That's mainly because the motors are crazy powerful. On the factory setup, I only put my rates, mode settings, and I did lower the warning and min voltages shown on the screen here. Just bumped them down by 0.1 volts. All of these are personal preferences. Point being, the out-of-box experience was great for me. And then lastly, I really appreciate the 18 amp ESCs, as these motors are very amp hungry. No quad is perfect, so moving on to the cons. Starting with durability. Like the V1, this quad is ultralight and the frame is very flexible, so consequently it can take some abuse. However, it's still not like other heavier whoops with sturdier frames, canopies, and larger motors. On repairability, like the V1, the motor pads are very tiny, so replacing motors is going to be challenging versus standard plug-in motors that you normally get on whoops. Flight time is another con. Expect about 2.5 minutes of flight time if you're in the throttle and 3 minutes for mixed acro and cruising. These motors are very amp hungry. So if you're looking for a quad with longer flight time, this is not the quad for you. On the canopy, although I did get used to it, the adjustment is more aggressive in the lowest hole than the V1. I prefer the V1 canopy, so I might swap it out with the extra canopy I have from the V1. Onto the USB dongle. I get it why Newbie Drone did this, but not even having a small plastic connector like other vendors that ditch the USB and have a dongle, the header pin setup I don't think will be reliable over time. I think it's going to be prone to bent pins. That is why I suggest making minor configuration changes via ExpressLRS Wi-Fi and the Betaflight configurator. The last thing I would like to discuss is the camera. Although better than the V1 as far as detail, the automatic white balance and dynamic range for flying outdoors in sunny conditions is not good. As you can see in my video, going into a light to dark changes is challenging for the camera to adjust. And so you really can't see real well if you're coming in from a bright area into a shadowy area. You can't really see the gap that you're hitting. However, in cloudy conditions or indoors, it's a lot better, and I didn't have any issues with that. But if you're flying this thing outdoors in bright light, it doesn't do well with light to dark changes. Should you upgrade from the V1? I think if you're a racer, I would say no. The higher wattage VTX that you cannot use, the ExpressLRS upgrade, although nice, the associated USB change with that is something that isn't super appealing, and the limited improvements on the camera are probably not worth it. Both the V1 and the V2 have the same motors, frame, and weight, so they are equivalent as far as performance. So you're really not going to get any improved speeds out of this if you're a racer. I will say that the tune out of the box for the V2 is better than the V1, but you saw from my V1 video that you can tune it to where it's as good as the V2. But as far as out-of-box experience, yes, it is better on the V2. Let's talk about for non-racers like myself who want to get out your whoop and use a speed demon adrenaline rush whoop that you can't really get anywhere else. I think the upgrade is worth it with the added features. So for me, it was worth the upgrade, and that's why I purchased this. So who is this quad not for? And I would say, like the V1, new pilots should just stay away from this. It's too fast, not crash resistant as a normal starter whoop that you would get as a new pilot. And it's not easy to repair like other whoops from Newbie Drone, Betaflight, and Happy Model. Also, I see the USB dongle being something a new pilot will end up bending the connector pins on. Those are my thoughts, and as always, thanks for watching my channel, and if you have any questions, post them in the comment section below.